In the heart of Hong Kong, a violent ambush on an EU vehicle leads to a firefight between police and a heavily armed gang. Amidst the chaos, Officer Leung Mei attempts to arrest Chung Man-bing, who resists and ultimately injures her. In court, conflicting testimonies emerge. Chung claims self-defense, unaware Leung was a police officer due to the loss of her badge during the pursuit. While the prosecution pushes for conviction, the defense argues lack of evidence and mishandling by law enforcement. Ultimately, the jury finds Chung not guilty. The narrative shifts to the Department of Justice, where former Officer Fok Chi-ho has become a prosecutor. He quickly becomes involved in a new case, the arrest of Ma Ka-kit, who receives a parcel containing cocaine. Kit insists he only lent his address to Chen Kwok-wing, the real target. While drugs are later found at Chen's residence, Ma changes his plea to guilty to expedite sentencing and avoid prolonged detention. The DOJ drops the conspiracy charge against Chan, opting for a possession charge instead. Despite internal disagreements over prosecutorial decisions and ethics, the case proceeds. Fok investigates deeper, driven by doubts and his belief in uncovering truth. Through this journey, themes of justice, systemic pressure, and personal integrity collide, revealing that the law isn't always clear-cut. The film closes with reflections on how justice is pursued not just in the courtroom but in the hearts and efforts of those who believe in it. The story revolves around Ma Ka-kit, a young man imprisoned for drug trafficking. Kit was misled by his lawyer and legal advisors into pleading guilty to a crime he may not have fully understood, leading to a harsh sentence of several years. Kit's grandfather, a former police officer, visits him regularly, offering encouragement and promising to help clear his name, though he fears he won't live to see Kit's release. Kit's lawyer Lee Shi-man and a legal aid representative Oh Man are preparing to appeal and overturn Kit's guilty plea, arguing that Kit was misled into admitting guilt to receive a reduced sentence. The prosecution, led by Mr. Fok, initially appears indifferent to the appeal, emphasizing the system's focus on convicting the guilty. However, Fok believes in justice beyond convictions. He insists the innocent should be cleared and the guilty convicted fairly. This puts him at odds with other prosecutors who see Kit's plea as legitimate. The courtroom drama unfolds as prosecutors and defense lawyers battle over the validity of Kit's guilty plea. Inspector Lee testifies that Kit tried to flee during his arrest, which was complicated by his fear of officers who didn't wear uniforms and showed questionable IDs. Lee Shi-man admits advising Kit to plead guilty for a reduced sentence, citing his lack of legal understanding and desire to shorten his time in prison. The defense counters that Kit was innocent all along, not lending his address to the drug operation and therefore should not have been implicated. Oh Man, Kit's pro bono legal assistant, testifies that Kit is naive and easily influenced, suggesting he was pressured into pleading guilty. Prosecutor Fok pushes back, questioning whether Kit's defense team has truly proven his innocence or merely seeks leniency. Controversy arises when letters of support submitted by Kit's defense are challenged. One letter, purportedly from an executive director, is suspicious given Kit's background. Another, from a social worker, claims involvement in volunteer activities that never took place. A third, allegedly from a former employer, is revealed to be forged after the company had already been liquidated. These forged documents cast doubt on the defense's credibility and the sincerity of Kit's character claims. As the trial intensifies, tensions rise in court. Kit's grandfather angrily accuses the defense lawyer Lee Shi-man of deliberately misleading Kit into a false guilty plea, condemning the legal system's failure to protect his grandson. Despite the objections, the judge insists on courtroom decorum and continues proceedings. The prosecutor and defense engage in heated exchanges, with accusations of professional misconduct and questions about the legal responsibilities of those involved. Mr. Fok argues the prosecution's duty is to present credible evidence, not merely convict, advocating for a fair assessment of the truth. The judge emphasizes that verdicts rely on eyewitness testimony, physical evidence, and jury decisions, sometimes forcing difficult rulings despite personal beliefs about guilt or innocence. After deliberation, the jury delivers a verdict. Ma Ka-kit is found guilty, sentenced to a lengthy prison term for drug trafficking, while the second defendant, Chan Kwok-wing, is acquitted. The judge criticizes Kit for lack of remorse and wasting court resources. Outside the courtroom, Kit's grandfather vows to continue fighting for his grandson's freedom despite feeling powerless and aging. He voices his distrust of the legal system and its representatives, accusing them of hypocrisy and betrayal. Kit's legal team assures the family they will appeal the verdict, hoping for justice in the next phase. Meanwhile, the story also explores the lives of those around Kit. The veteran prosecutor Mr. Fok is new to the Department of Justice but brings experience from his police days and a strong belief in true justice. He clashes with more traditional and cynical colleagues, navigating the challenges of prosecuting cases while trying to uphold fairness and the rule of law. His commitment inspires both allies and opponents in the courtroom. Kit's grandfather, once a heroic cop who chased down thieves, now lives humbly, struggling with age and health but remaining determined to help Kit. Their bond highlights themes of family loyalty, sacrifice, and hope amid injustice. The narrative also touches on the complexity of the legal system, how guilty pleas can be both a tool for reducing sentences and a potential trap for innocent people coerced by poor legal advice. The forged letters symbolize desperation and the lengths to which the defense will go to save Kit, but also the risk of undermining their cause. The story centers around a complex legal and criminal case involving drug trafficking, corruption, and the pursuit of justice in Hong Kong. At the heart of the narrative is Ma-Ka-Kit, a young man wrongfully accused of drug trafficking whose life becomes intertwined with a tangled web of gang violence, legal battles, and familial betrayals. The opening scenes depict the harsh underworld where drug deals and violence are commonplace. Lao Su-Kung, a key antagonist, controls a drug ring with ties to corrupt lawyers and gangs. His half-brother Chen Kwok-wing is involved in orchestrating criminal activities, including framing innocent people by borrowing their addresses to receive drug packages, thereby entrapping them in drug trafficking charges. Ma-Ka-Kit, an unsuspecting young man, is caught in this scheme when his address is used without his full knowledge. Despite his innocence, he is convicted largely due to manipulation and obstruction of justice by those involved in the criminal network. The case seems hopeless, compounded by the influence and interference of the corrupt Lao and Chen brothers, who have deep connections even within the legal system. Prosecutor Fok Chi-ho emerges as the story's moral compass, a determined and compassionate lawyer who refuses to give up on Ma-Ka-Kit. Fok is portrayed as someone who believes deeply in the principles of fairness and justice despite the systemic challenges and personal attacks he faces. His past as a police officer and his current role in the Department of Justice shape his resolve to fight corruption and uphold the law. Fok's efforts to uncover the truth lead him to discover that Lao Su-Kung not only runs the drug operation but also introduces crooked lawyers to the victims, coercing them to plead guilty falsely. The legal aid provided to these victims is compromised, undermining their chances of fair trials. Fok collaborates with Bao Ding, a young and zealous legal assistant who helps gather evidence and track down witnesses willing to testify. The investigation uncovers that Ma-Ka-Kit's wrongful conviction was part of a broader conspiracy involving multiple victims. The death of Ma-Ka-Kit's relative under suspicious circumstances raises public concern and intensifies scrutiny on the case. Meanwhile, attempts to silence witnesses and obstruct justice continue, including violent retaliation by the gangs and threats against those involved in the prosecution. Tensions escalate as Lao Su-Kung is eventually found dead under mysterious circumstances, further complicating the case and leading to fears that the remaining gang leaders, including Chen Kwok-wing, may retaliate or disappear. The trial for Ma-Ka-Kit's retrial is imminent, but key witnesses, including Chen Kwok-wing, remain elusive, threatening to derail the pursuit of justice. In court, Fok confronts systemic issues within the Department of Justice, including reluctance from some officials to pursue the case aggressively due to political and institutional pressures. A powerful scene unfolds when Fok faces off against prosecutor Yung Ti Lap, who had previously handled the case and is accused of mishandling it, possibly due to conflicts of interest or negligence. Their conflict symbolizes the broader struggle between integrity and complacency within the justice system. Despite obstacles, the testimony of witnesses like Chung Yuk-sum, a woman manipulated into pleading guilty for drug trafficking, helps expose the criminal network and clears Ma-Ka-Kit's name. It becomes clear that the real criminals used intimidation and legal manipulation to frame innocent people, relying on corrupt lawyers and coercive tactics to maintain their operation. A dramatic courtroom confrontation exposes the extent of the conspiracy and the collusion between the gang leaders and corrupt legal practitioners. Fok delivers a powerful closing argument, emphasizing that the legal system values evidence but must also strive for truth and justice beyond mere procedural correctness. He warns against allowing loopholes and corruption to ruin innocent lives and urges the court to ensure that justice prevails. In the end, Ma-Ka-Kit is acquitted and released, symbolizing a hard-fought victory for justice and the rule of law. The Department of Justice acknowledges flaws in the initial handling of the case and commits to reforms aimed at preventing similar miscarriages of justice in the future. Fok's dedication inspires hope that despite imperfections, the legal system can self-correct and protect the innocent. The story closes on a note of cautious optimism, with characters reflecting on the importance of perseverance, integrity, and the continuous fight against corruption. Prosecutor Fok's motto, "Stay strong and keep true," resonates as a guiding principle for all those involved in the pursuit of justice, underscoring the idea that truth and fairness must shine through even the darkest and most complicated cases. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.